You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver.
What the hell is that?
Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast. We are on the post-WrestleMania episode of the P3. We're going to be breaking down WrestleMania. We're going to be talking about the good, the bad, the ugly. There's probably going to be some disagreements, maybe some explanations. But, hey, if you haven't watched WrestleMania, don't listen to this show. Well, listen to the show. Who cares? You should have watched it already, so I'm not apologizing for any spoilers. So if you haven't watched WrestleMania and you're listening to this, well, you're a fool, because I'm sure WrestleMania is going to be in the title of this episode. So you only have yourself to blame. We've got a three-man show coming up for you until a little around 9 o'clock, which is probably about 45 minutes from now, because our time right now doesn't mean anything to you at home listening, because it's going to be recorded. Then Tiger Bomb Tom will show up, and it'll be a shit show all around. So we've got Beef the Legend, Alec Ransom, and the successfully reigning, defending, undisputed Cruiserweight champion of the world, Poop the Bard Baby. This episode of the Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast is brought to you by the Casual Gaming Dad's Corner and Sean Tischler. If you don't know who those two people are, Google them. Look them up on Facebook. You'll eventually figure it out. So, WrestleMania. What do we think?
Well, I think, first of all, I would like to thank my intuition as a champion for having the ability to retain.
Oh, listen. Hold on. Wait. I had to drink. Hey. Before we get this episode rolling and start talking about how great of a champion Poot is, because I could talk about that all night long, because I'm the advocate. Let me just say, I want to give a shout out to one of the people that commented on the Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast Facebook page, complaining and saying, hey, podcast would be better if you'd mute the vaping sounds. To you, gentlemen, sir, I don't know who you are. Frankly, I don't give a damn. Shut the hell up when you talk about the champ that way. He'll vape whenever the hell he wants to vape. And if you don't like vaping noises, maybe you need to stick some cotton swabs in your ear and, live that way. Live like the Q-tip man. Anyway, go on.
The Q-tip man. Wow.
Don't sass my champ. I'll cut your foot.
You know what? I appreciate people wanting solid production and everything like that. And you know what? Because I am an affable champion, I will acquiesce to that guy's request if he decides to start, being a little more polite.
Yeah, or maybe contribute some $49.99s, and then we'll mute the vaping sounds for a solid $49.99.
There you go. That sounds good. $49.99, and I will mute the vape sounds.
You know, it's quite possible that we have listeners who have no idea what that shtick is about because they probably don't go back and listen to the old shows. So now that you're all in recluse, go back and listen to our fucking shows. You can make a day of it. The Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast Day. $49.99, you assholes. WrestleMania.
Yes. A very different WrestleMania this year, but I will say, I don't know about you guys. Let's go overall here. I think they did as good of a job as they possibly could with the situation they were presented.
So, I thought it was a good show under the circumstances. But I feel like we would have gotten the same product in Raymond James Stadium, and I feel like it would have been Shitmania, like almost as bad as 11.
Wow, really?
I mean, so
do this for me, Beef. What are some of the standouts for you that would make this a Shitmania?
Everything not filmed off location, or that wasn't Rollins versus Owens.
Really?
Wow. I
thought
you were sports entertained by the ladder match.
Well, so the ladder match was okay for what it was. But I mean, like, the WrestleMania ladder matches are a paradigm of, like, greatness. So, like, when you put that up against TLC 1 or TLC 2...
Or Shawn Michaels' Razor.
Or Shawn Michaels' Razor, or the WrestleMania 31 ladder match, or the WrestleMania 32 ladder match, like, it doesn't hold any water at all. And maybe if there were 6 men in it, it may have been... But, I mean, again, for the circumstances, it was perfectly passable. Rhea versus Charlotte was a great match with a bad ending. And the women's tag match was really good. And Owens versus Rollins was very entertaining. Outside of that, here's the problem. They didn't capitalize on the time that they had, as opposed to putting out, 7 or 8, maybe 10 quality matches over the course of 2 days. They put out 14. No, they put out 16 in say about 8 hours. I'm never gonna be quantity over quality. One of my favorite WrestleManias was WrestleMania 30, where there was like 6 matches. I think it's okay to have less if you're gonna have more.
Oh yeah.
The problem inherent is with fucking 9 titles on the brands, and feuds outside of those titles. You're never gonna get something like that again, unless every match is like 12 people. So, to me, I was expecting them to kind of ratchet up the quality. And what Charlotte versus Rhea was, I was kind of expecting as like the baseline, but it just felt like a bunch of Raw matches against the backdrop of WrestleMania.
Did you not enjoy the Shayna Baszler match?
Oh my God!
Regardless of the outcome, you didn't like the match at all.
No, it was like maybe less than 10 minutes. I don't even remember, but it felt like it was over in the blink of an eye. And it was so if you're gonna have Becky win, which is fine, maybe they're saving that bacon for SummerSlam or Survivor Series or whenever the hell we get a crowd in an arena. Maybe they're saving that big change then. But I mean, if you're gonna have Becky win like that, I think you should have had Baszler dominate the match, like start to finish. Like,
hello. Uh-oh. What happened?
Ran roughshod over them at the Elimination Chamber.
Hey, I lost you guys for like about 15 seconds there.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
That was weird. Huh.
Cool.
Anyway,
back to your old crappy connections.
Never mind. No, it was like a very clean cut. That was very odd. Anyway, go on.
No, I was just explaining that I think that Baszler should have ran roughshod over Becky Lynch if they were going to have Becky Lynch squeak out a victory, because she ran roughshod over everybody in the Elimination Chamber, didn't even break a sweat, and they made her look like a monster against everybody. So now you have essentially devalued the women's division by not having Baszler run roughshod over Becky. You're saying that if Baszler is head and shoulders above everybody else in the match, then Becky's above her. Thus, Becky's head and shoulders above everybody else. Plus, now we're to the point where it's like, what do you do with Becky? Where does she go from here? I mean, now again, and I'll quantify it and say, I'm thankful to have the show. I'm thankful to have, 2 nights where I didn't hear the word fucking COVID or Corona or anything. Like, it was nice to be able to sit in a virtual room full of my friends for 2 nights and forget about the bullshit that was happening. So, like, you'll never be able to take that commendation away from WWE. And yeah, I mean, for the situation, it was passable. It was good. But I think that, honestly, we probably would have gotten the same card, except for minus the Awesome Boneyard match, minus the awesome Firefly Funhouse match, we would have gotten 2 regular ass matches and instead of those. And I think that both of those matches may have suffered. So,
all right, enough of your ramblings. Poot, what were some of your low points about this?
All right, well,
we'll talk low points and then we'll talk high points. If you had them, I guess.
I think, like, for me, it was kind of like a just straightforward middle of the road Mania. There was really nothing that I found abysmal, like match wise, like match quality wise. Now, admittedly, and this is no joke, this isn't a lark, this isn't a laugh. I really mean this. I don't have as much of a, refined palate for wrestling that Beef does.
Same here.
So for me, it really was like, I take it, and not meaning this in a bad way, I take this a little less serious. So I went, okay, show me what you got. And to be perfectly honest with you, every match was what I expected, like in-ring wise, except for the outcomes of some, and it was the women's match having Baszler not go over and not look. It felt like her build of her being just this dominant monster meant nothing. Like, it was like, oh, okay, the man is still tougher than her, than this, that, and the other thing, when really Shayna Baszler, all she would have to do is look at her crossways and Becky's arm would fall out of its socket. Like, Baszler's a monster. And so like that left me really cold. And then Charlotte going over, now after the fact, I understand why they did it. And it was because Rhea Ripley had to go back to Australia to take care of...
Fake news. Not true. She's still in Orlando.
Well, okay. Then
there's
literally every single news outlet that I heard that she has to take care of, like, work visa stuff. But that's also the problem, is that they were saying that her travel plans and getting back there and dealing with this is going to be even harder because of the whole situation with Corona, because traveling is more difficult, obviously. So who knows? I honestly think that, like, that is a situation that they were anticipating. So I get it. I think that if we get more Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair, I'm all for that. So whatever. I think this will be a blip on the radar of Charlotte's career and Rhea Ripley's career. And I think Rhea Ripley, at the end of it all, is going to come out looking like $1 million. I really, truly do. So I'm not really terribly worried about that. As far as the major championships, the world title and the universal title, I'm frankly glad to see, whether by hook or by crook, I'm glad to see that Braun Strowman's finally getting a nod. Whether he's going to be a transitional champion or not, that's fine. I'm just glad to see that he's finally getting a little bit of recognition and a little bit of a push. Say what you want about his comments that he makes outside of his character and on social media. It's nice to see him do this, and also getting the huge rub of beating Goldberg. Whether you like Goldberg or not, having Strowman beat him the way he did, as quickly as he did, and as clean as he did, that says something about what they're supposedly going to do about Strowman's character. Now, looking at the WWE Championship, having McIntyre, come on. I'm glad they pulled the trigger on McIntyre. I'm glad they did it. I'm sad for him that he didn't get his arena full of people moment. But Drew, I'll tell you what, he didn't look any less disappointed or any less upset or any less overjoyed. or rather, yeah, I guess I phrased that wrong. He didn't look any less overjoyed when he won that belt and he got it. So,
you know what was amazing is whenever he reached out to the camera with his hand and he was like, I did this because of you. I understand what you're trying to say, but I need to speak. Thank you. He when he reached out his hand and he pointed at the camera and he was like, because of you.
Yeah, that was nice. Like he really enjoys this, and I really think he deserves it, and he recognizes that he worked really hard and that the crowd was part of it. And it is a true example of how failure followed by hard work and determination can get you where you want to go. I will save my thoughts for the Boneyard match and the Firefly Funhouse match whenever we get to it, because I feel like that's going to be encapsulated. Also, ladder match, loved it. I thought it was great. Yeah.
So do you think that Braun Strowman is going to be champion for a while, or do you think he's a placeholder because they had to call an audible with Roman Reigns?
Not trying to beleaguer your question here, Ransom. You sound really far away.
Son of a bitch!
Yep.
Oh, is this any better?
Nope. Actually, it's worse.
Oh, your mother. Hang on.
Okay.
Hang on.
Okay.
Technical difficulties, please.
Oh God, all the technical difficulties. What a professional podcast.
Are we any better?
Yes, that's better.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, so back to my question.
Yes.
Do you think Braun Strowman is a placeholder champion because they had to call an audible with old Roman Reigns, or do you think he holds the belt for a while? Not counting the time that they have to be off of TV if they don't record stuff.
Beef, I'll let you field this first.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I think he's going to be a transitional champion, but I don't think it's going to be an immediate change. I think he's going to hang on to the belt for at least till SummerSlam if they have it. I wouldn't be surprised to see him hold it a little bit longer past that, but honestly, it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a long run.
So you don't think that he's going to be champion just until the stay-at-home order has passed and we get in front of a crowd, and the first pay-per-view event in front of a crowd, you don't think he's going to lose it then?
No, I like I said, I think if SummerSlam goes off in the traditional manner, I think he'll lose it there.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to lose it on a random like TV show or whatever.
Rando.
I want to see how they handle the Roman Reigns situation first. I want to see if he's immediately back in the upper card or what's going to play out there. Because deep down inside, I still believe that there's going to be some hostility for him missing WrestleMania. Even though it was the right thing to do, we know Vince McMahon. So, but that being said, Strowman's win at WrestleMania was a lot less about Braun Strowman and a lot more about Goldberg. So I shared this with you earlier today that basically Goldberg beating the Fiend at the Blood Money.
That was a Goldberg power play.
A Goldberg, yeah, exactly. A Goldberg power play. Like, hey, you're not paying me millions of dollars to come in here and lose. I'm a superhero. People want to see me win, and then I'll gladly put over your next guy at WrestleMania. Goldberg's not a company guy, and
I'm sorry.
What happened?
Ransom sounds like he's running. Sounds like he's running errands.
I was
He's doing something.
I was at the first fire hall, and somebody showed up, so I had to make a hasty escape.
Ah.
And now I'm down at the second one, since there's nobody here.
Backup fire hall.
And yeah, I'll be here until someone shows up here, and then it's going to be back to the car and running errands.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
All right. Pick me up
setting expectations now, that might happen.
Pick me up a gallon of
Fair
milk.
enough. I fully believe that Strowman got the title because he was a guy without a dance card on WrestleMania weekend. I think that had Samoa Joe been on SmackDown, it may have been Samoa Joe getting the call. I think that this was just happenstance. They looked at somebody and they said, okay, who's believable to beat Goldberg, but doesn't have a match at WrestleMania? Oh, Braun Strowman. Great, let's get him in here.
How fun would it have been if they would have had Goldberg come out, have the Fiend get the belt again, and then have it be part of the whole Firefly Funhouse match? How great would that have been?
I think that they're probably going to put that belt back on Bray. Here's kind of what I'm envisioning as the future. I think that they're going to put the belt back on Bray, and I think that Cena's going to come back and wrestle him in an honest-to-God match, because Cena looked like a chump after the Firefly Funhouse match, and I think that Cena is going to come back doubly resolved, and I think that Cena will beat The Fiend for the Universal title, getting his 18th title reign. Yes, 18, right? How many did Ric Flair have? 16, 17?
16.
So this would be this would be Cena's 17th, thus cementing Cena as, the GOAT, the greatest of all time.
Really?
And again, in a time when the belt was transferred back and forth like, a bad hooker, it probably doesn't mean as much. Or a very good hooker, yes. It probably doesn't mean as much as Ric Flair's 16 do, but that being said, they are no less valid. And again, I mean, Cena's a company guy. Even now he's a company shill. He's still out there fighting the battle for WWE. So I think that they would have no problem making him like, the banner bearer, the standard bearer, the banner flyer. The guy who's they could point to and say, this guy has the most world championships in wrestling history.
How pissed do you think Ric Flair would be about that?
I don't think. Right now, Ric Flair feels like he's not in a lot of his faculties anyway.
True.
I think that he probably has a lot other fish to fry. And to be honest, I think Ric Flair was on board whenever John Cena was facing Seth Rollins and Jon Stewart interfered. I think Ric Flair was on board with Cena winning at that point because he recognizes that Cena is like, the next face. Sad to say that face is already, kind of on its way out. But he realizes and he gets it, man. He sees the writing on the wall. So I think he'd be okay with it.
All right, that's fair. That's fair.
What about you, Ransom? What did you think of WrestleMania? What were some of your lowlights? I guess we, since we're talking about things that were a little bit disappointing to us.
Well, this is where I'm going to explain my lowlights and then maybe get some perspective to perhaps change my views. First off, the Edge Randy Orton match was a letdown to me.
Not to interrupt, but did either of you watch Ciampa versus Gargano last night?
I haven't gotten to it yet, man. I had a lot of work today.
No, I did not see that.
That match was what Orton and Edge should have been. But go on.
So that was a letdown to me because I was hoping that, Edge comes back for a match. I don't know how many matches he's got in him. I don't know if this was a one-off or if there's going to be more. But that match did nothing for me. It was a series of walking around an arena, throwing punches, kicks, and driving your opponent's head into every picture that was hung in the Performance Center.
Did you watch the Edge 24?
No.
You go watch the Edge 24 because Edge seems really dead set on his return, not just being a one-off, hey, thanks, guys, I'm ending this on my terms. He wants a run.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's hope. There's hope there then. But that match was a letdown to me. I thought they could have done a hell of a lot more. And frankly, after seeing the Last Man Standing or whatever the hell type of match it was, I would have been happier if it was a standard match. An actual just wrestling match. You pin them in a ring. It all happened in the ring, not around this performance center with just punches, kicks, and head into the wall. That was boring to me.
Do you think that it was boring because you expected, and we've seen so much from Edge over the years, like so much, like such a high work rate and such extreme measures in matches like this, that in your mind, even though you know he's I mean, the man's 46, he has a fused neck, even though he's well and the doctors all say he's fine, do you think it's because in the back of your mind you thought to yourself, oh, we're going to see Edge in a hardcore match again?
No, I didn't. No, I went into it expecting not a hardcore match in my mind. I knew it was a last man standing match, but I went into it thinking, okay, there's going to be some kerfuckery happening outside the ring because it's a last man standing match and that's what they're going to do. But I thought that there was going to be half, if not the majority of the match happening in the ring. And it was going to be more of an actual wrestling match with wrestling holds, things like that. It was just an overall letdown. Just the type of physicality they had with each other was so boring. There was nowhere near sports entertainment with that match. It was punch, kick, head into wall, head into picture. Edge dropped an elbow from 2 feet away from Orton, hanging from the ceiling like a monkey.
Well, let's not forget Orton hanging, quote unquote, hanging Edge from gym equipment, which
Oh yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that match was a snooze stress for me and a letdown, mainly because I believed that Orton and Edge, given the caliber of those two guys, I expected I expected them to steal the show. Having seen the card the way it was, I expected them to steal the show. So that was a big letdown. And then, honestly, the only other thing that stood out in my mind as a letdown, I mean, I don't think it was a great Mania overall. I side more with Poot that I thought it was average. I didn't think it was closer towards bottom of the barrel. I thought it was average. But the other thing that stood out as a letdown, what's happening in the background? Someone digging through a drawer? What now, woman? And this is where we're going to have either a discussion or an explanation, was the Firefly Funhouse match. Because in my mind, that wasn't a match. That was a story, a vignette, a promo, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't a match to me. And The Fiend, to me, didn't beat John Cena because it wasn't a match. Now, I get it, matches are scripted and storyline, yada, yada, yada. But when someone has a match in the ring, you could say, okay, this person beat that person because there was a match. Yes, scripted. Yes, it's written, whatever. I'm not arguing that. But I don't see this as a victory over John Cena because there was no match. It was all one big vignette. The Boneyard match at least had elements of a match. They fought. It wasn't a traditional wrestling match. There weren't suplexes and scoop slams, arm drags. There wasn't any of that. But they fought. The Firefly Funhouse match, they didn't fight. It was all a vignette. And at the very end, there was a move where The Fiend gave John Cena's Sister Abigail 1, 2, 3. Except there wasn't a ref. It was Bray Wyatt counting the win for The Fiend. None of that stood out in my head as a match. Now, if they, how do I want to phrase it? If they hadn't advertised it as a match, I would have been more okay with it. Because I was expecting there to be some semblance of something. To me, it was just one big story played out on camera. So that was.
If I may refute.
Hold on, you can.
Okay.
He is chomping at the bit.
I certainly.
No,
am.
it's. I have, and it's. I'm not arguing this. I'm hoping that maybe you can put it into perspective for me, because the way I saw it, okay, we're going to get John Cena versus The Fiend. Just like we got everybody else versus The Fiend, except for Goldberg versus The Fiend, because that was a travesty. And I don't care how much you explain that, you'll never change my mind. I expected it to be some sort of match, and it wasn't. It was a vignette. So maybe you can put some of this into perspective for me and help to maybe shape my opinion on this so I'm not so sour on this match. I get what they did. I understand the explanation. They went through John Cena's career, and The Fiend showed, John Cena running through everybody, this, that, and the other thing. And, how John Cena should have laid down for The Fiend when they had their match when he was the Swamp Wizard, but they didn't, yada, yada, yada. I get the point they were trying to make, but it was a letdown for me because it wasn't an actual match. So, Beef, maybe you can explain this to me to kind of help to shape my view on it.
Sure. So, and honestly, I did not pay attention to how the match was billed. I don't know if they ever said the words Firefly Funhouse match, or if that's what everybody was just kind of calling it. It could have been that Bray was just inviting Cena into the Firefly Funhouse. And we all thought, we're all like, okay, clearly it's going to be a fight. So, to be fair, there was more in-ring action with Cena versus Bray Wyatt / The Fiend than there was of Randy Orton and Edge. Was it conventional? Mm-mm. It was very much start and stop, but it was still... There were still semblances of it. Here's what... So... And speaking of somebody who has a little bit of a background in English, and again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you all that I am, a captain.
You'd never be able to tell
English.
from listening to this show.
But exactly. But I will tell you that I do have a degree with English as an emphasis in secondary ed, so I do understand literature, themes, etc. So that being said, when you're writing or in anything, there are 3 types of conflict. Man versus man, man versus nature, and man versus himself. At WrestleMania, we didn't see John Cena versus The Fiend. We saw John Cena versus John Cena. The idea was never for The Fiend. So when the Firefly Funhouse environment was pitched and when this whole thing kind of came about, the idea was never for The Fiend to get over on Cena and to beat Cena in the middle of the ring. Because when the idea is that they wanted, I don't want to say they wanted to erase the past, but they wanted to bring it equal. That they wanted to put them on an even playing field and show everybody how Bray has grown. The only problem is that doing so in front of all of 6 people in an empty performance center would not have had that same effect. So that's why they went with this Firefly Funhouse gimmick. And as opposed to putting Cena and Bray in a fight, which, to be honest, I don't know that they would have topped what they did at WrestleMania 30. To me, John Cena did more to put Bray Wyatt over in that match than he did the rest of their feud, or than anybody else did until The Fiend came along. If you go back and you watch John Cena versus Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 30, Cena was buying into Bray Wyatt, making him the new face of fear. And I think that had Undertaker pulled the trigger and lost to him at WrestleMania 31, it'd be a different story. But we are where we are. So that being said, the idea, whenever it went to the route of the Firefly Funhouse, was that they wanted the Fiend to eviscerate him mentally. We know what the Fiend can do in the ring. We've seen him take terrible, terrible punishment from the likes of Seth Rollins. We've seen what he can do against opponents as far as, like, offensively. He's basically a movie psychopath akin to Jason or Michael Myers, where your best hope is to escape, not to get a victory over. So that being said, the idea here, and this really hit me as a gimmick from, like, the Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, this felt a lot like what Freddy Krueger did to his victims before he killed them. He put them in a situation that was uniquely uncomfortable for them. Freddy Krueger was a creative fucking mastermind. And he, before he tortured them physically, tortured them mentally. And I think that that's what they're setting a stage for. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, invited Cena into the Firefly Funhouse, knowing that the Fiend would take Cena's history, twist it, put it on his ass, or put him on his ass, knowing where he fucked up, knowing that he was inadequate, knowing that he just couldn't get it done at the right times. So to me, I think that this is the beginning of a story arc. And if they finish it, I think will be magnificent. But if they don't finish it, then we're left thinking what could be. Poot?
I mean, I honestly, Beef, you nailed it down. I think that, first of all, and this is not admonishing you, Ransom. This is just saying your initial reaction to not enjoying it and kind of confusion about what this was. You're not even confusion about what it was. We were all kind of like, had the Titus O'Neil, like, I don't know what I just saw. You know what I mean? Like, we all kind of were there, but not liking it. Like, I immediately was sold. I was like, I love this. I love this. But I love the absurd. And I love seeing things like this. And I think, yeah, there was a lot of goof in there. There was a lot of kind of goofy stuff. But there was also a lot of, like, really telling, cutting stuff that, like, tore Cena down. Like, really, really put him, like, on blast. And I thought that was good to see Cena really vulnerable and really torn down. And there's a really good tweet. I can't remember who it was. Beef posted it in our group chat. I can't remember the wrestler who put it up, but he's an indie wrestler. And he basically broke down, scene by scene, the Firefly Funhouse match and the take on the story that it told. And I think it was I went back and watched it again, and it was very chilling whenever Bray was holding Cena in the Sister Abigail, and you heard Cena's voiceover from his promo he cut, saying that this will be the end of the most overprivileged, overrated, like that thing. And like, it like literally gave me goosebumps because I'm like, oh, Bray's going over here. Like, and he did. Like, there was no Super Cena. There was no political call. There was no nothing. It was Cena doing something that was legitimately best for business and really putting over the Fiend and getting him back on track after that loss to Goldberg, which was such a power play. So that juxtaposition is there of the power play that Goldberg had, where he's like, well, I'm a superhero and people want to see, for the kids want to see me win. They want to see me defeat the villain and the bad guy and everything like that. And then this, which is a correction of that from years and years ago, the Firefly Funhouse match, whatever you want to call it. It was roundly praised. The Boneyard match was praised higher, but I mean, that's comparing, apples and bananas. You know what I mean? Because the Boneyard match was an actual match, and I think that this was appropriate, and the people involved, being Cena, who is very creative, and when he's willing to work and go with the flow, it always ends up well. Bray is so creative, and Jeremy Borash, who was in on this, is infinitely creative as well with the work like he did on the final deletion and all that stuff with Matt Hardy, and working with the Broken Universe in TNA. You got something that was wholly unique and wholly interesting, and a way to not only correct a mistake of the past, but get someone who is, in my opinion, going to be one of your keynote players for the next couple years back on track to where he should be. This was a rub to the Fiend and Bray Wyatt that he desperately needed, and he got it. And he got it in a way that was very idiomatic to the character. So yeah, was it a match? No, it wasn't a match, but it was something that I feel like needed to happen, and it happened in a very entertaining way.
All right, so after you two explain that, let me say this. I'm not looking for an argument. I'm just going to say this is my final thoughts on this Firefly Funhouse, whatever it was. My opinion has not improved on what I saw. I still think this is one of the lower points for me of this WrestleMania. However, that opinion will change if they do what Beef explained, where if this is a tipping point or a kickoff point to something better, where John Cena just doesn't go away now. He's actually back for a little bit, and when things pick up again, when wrestling starts wrestling, if the Fiend and John Cena actually have a feud, and this is just like the tipping point of that feud, or this is just a kickoff, my opinion will change then. Because then I can understand, like, oh, okay. So whatever happened with Cena in the past happened. This happened this time with the Fiend and Bray Wyatt. And now we're going to have a final resolution. Maybe once things pick up again. I think my opinion will change at that point. I'll be able to see it more along the lines of, okay, all right, I get it. I get what they're doing. Okay. But if this is it, like if John Cena just goes away now and the Fiend moves on to something else, I don't see the point. I don't necessarily see it as a correction, because I don't feel like this put the Fiend over.
You don't. So you don't think that the Fiend absolutely breaking John Cena mentally and reducing him, like the Fiend was able to put John Cena on the mat with relative ease, easier than he did with Goldberg, easier than he did with Rollins or Bryan, because he went through the process of breaking Cena mentally. At the end of the quote-unquote match, there was no fight left in John Cena. You can't see me. You can't stop me. Never give up. Gave up. Like, that's the point. Is that, and you can see it on Cena's shirt, as opposed to saying you can't see me, it said you can't stop me. That he basically broke John Cena of his, the Sanandments or whatever you want to call them, where never give up, never surrender. He broke John Cena mentally, so that he could then break him physically. You're telling me that you don't see that John Cena ended the match as weak, because I 100% believe that the wrestler John Cena, the 16-time world champion John Cena, was at his knees and had no comeback, no super whatever. He was down for the count.
End of his rope.
Exactly. There was nothing left. He had nothing left to give.
See, I didn't see it that way, because in all of the different skits or segments or whatever the hell you call it, where they would cut and it's a different time period of John Cena or whatever, I don't see that as the Fiend breaking down John Cena, because John Cena was the John Cena character, not John Cena the person. The John Cena character was playing along in all of that. Like when he came out as Hulk Hogan, I have no idea what the hell that was. When he's lifting all those weights and going crazy, like the Fiend to me wasn't breaking him down at that point. He wasn't mentally destroying him. John Cena was just goofing off with him. Like it was just like, hey, I'm John Cena, I'm in this goofy skit, and I'm coming down as Hulk Hogan, and I'm coming down as the prototype, and hey.
Let me ask you this:
hold on, shut your face. I saw nothing in that was the Fiend is breaking down John Cena. If John Cena was constantly battling him during this Firefly Funhouse whatever, then yes, I see that. If John Cena was constantly trying to fight him, but Bray was teleporting everywhere and verbally breaking him down the whole time, yes, I would see it that way. But I just saw it as a skit.
Cena was, though. Cena was trying to fight him mentally. Like the fact, the ruthless aggression, the prototype. I'm John Cena, ruthless aggression, and he pops Kurt Angle. The fact that Bray kept moving and he kept missing was John's mental, like the id, his own mental image of himself, trying to do just that and having zero success.
I think that would be your ego, actually.
You're right. I apologize. And him lifting the weights was like him lifting the weights was like he could not stop lifting the weights until he was absolutely torn down, which harkened back to his injury of his quadricep, or not his quadricep, his
pec,
bicep.
His bicep, right? That he overexerted himself, like just trying to please everybody. Like the idea was that the Fiend had such a grip and such
understanding
space in John's and such a space in John Cena's head that he was pulling the strings the whole time. Cena, with all of his power, with all of his might, with all of his Super Cena, could not fight the mental strings that Bray Wyatt had attached. And the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, whoever, was just pulling the strings, and Cena was dancing like a marionette. That's the idea, that Cena had no control. Like, yeah, he was going along with it, but you saw at different points where Cena had the come to Jesus moment, where he had the revelation. He's like, wait, I'm somewhere where I shouldn't be. How do I get out of this? And he tries to fight, and Bray laughs it off, and then boom, they're somewhere else. Like, every time the Cena tried to fight and was trying to, starting to get cognizant and starting to snap out of it, is when they snapped to a different thing, which was, again, Wyatt knowing, okay, my strings are getting, kind of loose here. Let me go back and reaffirm my grip on something altogether different. So basically, just whenever John Cena thought he was getting to, a breakthrough on A, B, or C, Wyatt was like, here's X, here's V, here's, the letter Q, deal with it. And that was why John Cena failed, because he, and this is kind of a idiomatic of John Cena's entire career, like where John Cena had to balance so much stuff that at the end of the day, something had to go. And here we sit, where John Cena's a part-timer, and now in Hollywood making millions of dollars, which he criticized Dwayne Johnson for no more than, 4 or 5 years ago. Well, I guess almost 10 years ago now. So, like, to me, this is just kind of like, and it's all of it, man. And see, that's what I love about the Firefly Funhouse segment, is that it's 100% open to interpretation. What that dude, that wrestler, the breakdown segment, he's 100% right. What Putin and I are saying, we're 100% right. What you're saying, it's all interpretation. Because I'll tell you what, I thought for a fact that 100% this would be roundly welcomed and applauded because there was so much shit in there for the smarks. If nothing else, the Mr. McBoss Man puppet, where this is such good shit. Stolen directly from a John Moxley promo after he left the Fed that talked about Vince saying, this is such good shit about crap that wasn't. Vince loved it, and he laughed it, and he, roundly signed off on it. So, like, there was so much of, like, that smarky stuff in there that I'm like, oh, man, people are going to love this. In reality, it's probably closer to a 50-50 split. Because there are a lot of people who think, just like Ransom, that, hey, there was a chance for John Cena really to pass the torch and do basically what he did against Brock Lesnar against SummerSlam 4 years ago, and just get crushed and just get rolled over and make the Fiend look old. And yeah, that would have been all right too, but this is special. And like I said, man, like this is 100% reminiscent of a Nightmare on Elm Street, to the point where at some points you root for Freddy Krueger, but eventually you know that he's going to get toppled. You know that someone's going to beat him. So to me, like that's the story here, is who is going to... I think, honestly, they're going to try to erase the victory from Goldberg. I think that they're just going to kind of scrub that out. And they're going to now go with the idea, like, who's going to be the guy to take down the Fiend now that he's so powerful. And
that's the thing, is that I think a lot of this was preventative measures to begin that erasing of it. And also the other fact that Goldberg, now that it's come out publicly that Goldberg kind of had a power play against Bray to get that belt and to be like, oh, no, you know what I mean? He kind of went into business for himself, for lack of a better term, to come out the champion. I think that this is the genesis, and you're absolutely right, Beef, that they're trying to forget that. And also the fact that it was at one of the Saudi blood money, the Bloodening 4, the blood reckoning of the Revenant. I think whenever someone has a victory over the Fiend at a big show, one of the big four presumably, more than likely next year's WrestleMania, if not further down the road, or minimum SummerSlam, next year. I don't think they're gonna learn from their mistakes that they made with Bray Wyatt and the Fiend, and they're going to move forward in an appropriate manner. Now, let me ask you this question, Beef, because I already know, I feel like Ransom can answer this more quickly and succinctly. Oh. Would you guys have preferred an effective squash match in the ring, like a standard match, versus what we got?
Hell no. Squash Mania was already running wild, with Goldberg versus Strowman and Lesnar versus McIntyre basically being carbon copies of one another. A squash match is exactly what this Mania did not need. Ironically, I think that's probably what would have happened had we gotten Cena versus The Fiend in a ring in front of 80,000 people in Tampa. I think that The Fiend probably would have squashed John Cena. But this is like the next best thing in my mind, that they can, just destroy John Cena mentally, and they'll probably build him back up, Cena, that is. And I don't know if at that point if he would deserve to beat The Fiend or not, because again, we got to be forward thinking, we got to be forward booking. So I guess the problem now becomes, now you've booked yourself into a corner, because you have to have the good guy winning all this. Like, no matter how much people cheer The Fiend, no matter how much, like, it could be 80,000 people cheering The Fiend and 1,000 people cheering John Cena. At the end of the day, The Fiend is the bad guy, and he has to lose. But I think that they need to figure out a clever way for John Cena to be able to transfer that, the Perseus, the Herculean, whatever. Like, he needs to be able to transfer that, hey, I'm the good guy mantle to somebody else, in order for them to destroy the Fiend. And I don't know how they do that, but I think that they're kind of in a corner now to where they have an interesting problem.
All right, Poot, can you repeat your question, because I lost it in listening to Beef.
Yes.
Not that Beef wasn't good. I enjoyed that explanation. I did. I just can't remember exactly how you phrased your question.
What I said, would you have preferred a standard in-ring match where the Fiend basically just squashes Cena, or would you have preferred what we got? Like would you have preferred having the match that we assumed was going to happen, or would you rather have had what we got? Now, Ransom, I want to hear your opinion, but I see someone popped up in our little Discord thing. I wouldn't mind hearing Casual Gaming that himself, Mr. Tiger.
Uppercut.
Bomb Tom's opinion on this.
I honestly don't have an opinion because I haven't watched WrestleMania. I'm pulling the ransom here. I'm the old man not watching anything right now.
Good man.
Well, you've been really busy streaming it up, man.
I have been streaming my ass off just because fuck it. I mean, what like there's no other income besides unemployment coming in, and the kids aren't going back to school for the rest of the school year, so that's that.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, that I don't know. Did you hear that today, Ransom? You having children? Yeah. I just found out this evening, so I'm like, oh, well, that's fine.
I wasn't surprised. I figured that was going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, they're done on what, June 5th?
I don't know.
I think June 5th is what my sister is a teacher. She told me. So, I mean, I hate to say it is what it is, and I really got to feel bad. I know we're getting off topic here, and I apologize.
No, I should apologize for that because I kind of derailed it there. I mean, I do plan to go back and watch Mania at some point, but honestly, it's been
stressful, man. It's been stressful. Let's be honest.
Honestly, like it's been a struggle to do much of anything. Like I'm just trying to find the energy to do stuff, and I'll be honest, like streaming has been a respite as well for everything going on too. So I can understand the ennui, man. Like it's a bitch, especially when it's like you basically are stuck in hurry up and wait. Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, but Ransom, what do you think? Because I've been getting a whole lot of mixed reviews too. I hear a lot of people say that they loved it. I hear people say they hated it. I saw something and I wasn't sure if it was. I didn't realize it was from the Firefly Funhouse match, but I saw like the little NWO thing with like Cena coming out, and I was like, "This is fucking great." So, from that, I liked it. But as somebody who actually watched the whole thing, what do you think?
I would have liked it more if it was either a Fiend squash match of John Cena, or if it was an all-out match between the two, and it wasn't necessarily a squash, but the Fiend came out looking strong and getting a win over a fighting John Cena. I would have, my opinion of that match would have been a lot higher, even if they would have done something like the Boneyard match where they actually physically went at it and they fought through. I guess I don't know. Maybe it's the whole psychological thing that I'm just not super high on. Like, I understand what you are saying, Beef and Poot. Like, I understand your explanations of it. I do. It's not that I'm not understanding what's going on in this match, but if they would have done more of a Boneyard match where they fought through the Firefly Funhouse and fought through, in a physical way, the prototype gimmick and the Swamp Wizard gimmick, ultimately fighting physically to the Fiend gimmick and the Fiend beating him, I would have enjoyed that more. So to answer your question, Poot, yeah, if they would have done something, either a squash match or an actual physical competition, even if it wasn't just in the ring, if it was a Boneyard style match done through the Firefly Funhouse, whatever.
Now,
I would have enjoyed that more.
So now I got what I'm surprised I didn't see it. I don't know if you guys caught on to it or not either, and I don't know if it was already brought up and mentioned from the start of this topic. But did anybody look and see Cena's Instagram? Because he usually posts them just off the funny stuff. So from all accounts, from what I heard, like Cena's Instagram was just full of nothing but like different Bray Wyatt pictures, like him as Husky Harris, like old Swamp Wizard Bray, the Fiend, like. So I guess they were trying to bend to the illusion of really like you guys were saying, like Bray Wyatt like being in his head and fucking with his head, that it's all he could think about or whatever, or like that, Bray was pulling the strings. So I didn't know if that was brought up or not.
Well, and then after the fact, after the match and after Mania, he was posting stuff from that match.
Okay.
Like it, and again, it's that thing of like, Cena just blinked out of existence. So it's like, now what? Like, and
so here's an interesting take that I heard. Somebody said that they thought that it was all in John Cena's head because he came out for his entrance, and then he just like went from the Performance Center to the Funhouse, and then was gone, just gone. And obviously that's a whole thing to the you can't see him bit too.
So saying that the actual match that happened at Mania was all in Cena's head and it never actually took place,
right? Which
like
begs
some
the
Inception
question,
level shit,
right? Which I think is exactly what it's meant to be, because honestly, I don't think that the Firefly Funhouse is like a real place. Now, obviously,
right? Because
we understand that it's a real place, but I mean,
storyline wise,
story
exactly.
wise.
Like this
Easy,
place
hold
exists,
on.
This place exists somewhere between Midgard and fucking who's it? What's-it-ville? Like this is out there in the ether somewhere, man. Like you can't walk to it, you can't drive to it, you can't fly to it. It just exists through a portal that only Bray Wyatt operates.
It's a pocket dimension.
Well, honestly,
precisely.
If you think about it, if you go back to the very beginnings of the Firefly Funhouse, when Bray was starting to introduce it, he's said it so many times. He said it's a safe space. So I think really it's if what you're saying, like that this whole thing was like in Cena's head or whatever, or maybe it's all in Bray's head that it happened, because the Firefly Funhouse is supposed to be a safe space where everybody feels safe there, including Bray Wyatt, because he's not hurt there, because the Fiend will protect him or this and that. Like, I don't know. Like, it's kind of like it's his place of healing from all the wrong that's been done to him. You know what I mean? For lack of better terms, not saying that he fits his personality of like somebody that needs a safe space, but it's his safe space. You know what I mean?
And the fact that we are having these conversations and posing so many different possibilities, I think is really positive and really good that we are having to have these discussions.
Right. Because it shows you they showed enough creativity and something, they just gave us something of substance for people to really chew on and like really, give them something to talk about. It wasn't some just like cut and dry, like this is what it is, here it is, and it's done, and have a good night. Like
I bet you the Marks hated it. And not that I'm comparing Ransom to a Mark, because I value him far more than that. But I bet you, but I bet you that they'll have that exact same. Well, it's not a match. Like I don't watch wrestling for bullshit. I want to see a match, motherfucker.
Oh, I want to hear Jim
think,
Cornette's fucking take on this.
Oh God, I don't.
Because
I don't.
Yeah, he's a fucking stick in the mud all the time anyway. But
that's true. But
yeah,
his rants are funny as dicks to listen to.
Funny as dicks. What kind of dicks you looking at, Pete, that are funny?
Well,
Hold on, listen. Because you brought him up, we've dissected this Firefly Funhouse match. We can move on to more WrestleMania stuff here, but I want to have a little break in the conversation, and I want to pose a wrestling version of $1 Million Butt.
Oh.
Okay.
So, this doesn't have to go long. I don't need a diatribe answer. You can give one if you want to. I don't care.
Cool.
Beef.
Oh. But
Look at Sassy Magoo coming in. All right, go
Yeah,
on.
you know.
you get $1 million, but
Like a fucking Tom Lesnar over here, part-time showing up.
oh my gosh.
Tom Lesnar.
Here we go.
Hey,
Shut up.
I ain't seen any money from you.
Shut up. Here's the thing. You get $1 million, but 1 day a week for the rest of your life, you are held hostage by Jim Cornette, and you have to listen to him rant about how much he dislikes the current product.
Wait, okay. So this is a one-time $1 million payment, correct?
One-time $1 million payment for the
And-
rest of your life, once a week. You can even choose the day. Doesn't matter. But you are literally held hostage by Jim Cornette. You can't leave. You can't go do what you want to do. You can't ignore him by watching TV. You are held hostage and forced to listen to him rant about his dislike of the current product.
For a full
So
24
current
hours?
product, full 24 hours. Current product starting now, the whole way till you're dead. Whatever the current product is at the time, you have to
What if
listen to him
he's
for
dead?
1 day a week.
Yeah, I was going to say,
What's
he's
that?
going to die before me, right?
Yeah.
No, he
what if
lives
he's
until
dead?
you die.
Oh,
God.
no, we're
It's
effective.
like the Firefly Flood House. The Firefly Fun House. I can't even say it. It's like the Firefly Fun House match. I did it again. Jim Cornette might not exist to anybody else, but to you, he exists until the day you die.
Fuck.
I don't think $1 million is worth it.
Man.
If it was maybe $1 million once a year, maybe I'd entertain it. But a one-time $1 million thing, probably not.
Okay.
It's for me. It's more of a practical inconvenience. Like I don't know.
I was absolutely sold on hell yeah, I will do that. Because occasionally he does break up his negativity with some positive statements. Note how I said some. Here's
like 1 out of a million.
well, seriously.
You're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, as long as I could just hear him rant, and don't get me started on Pockets the wrestler, motherfucker. I will say that I hate his opinion of Orange Cassidy, but I love he calls him Pockets.
That's good.
I was sold on saying yes because it's only 1 day a week, and I could bring a 30 rack with me and just make a day of it. But once you said Jim Cornette lives as long as I do, I don't want to add any more years to that man's life. No.
Are you fucking kidding me? Yes, and twice on Sunday. Me and one of the greatest wrestling minds, greatest wrestling promoters, greatest wrestling managers of all time. I don't care if he's fucking reading Twilight to me, man. Like, Jim and I are gonna have something to talk about. So you know what? I'll do it. Like it's gonna be
Wait 1 second. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I need a clarification here before you say yes, Beef. Ransom, you said we have to listen to him. Do we get to talk back at him?
You can talk back all you want to. But the man does not stop talking for 24 hours.
Oh.
You can pose all the questions you want to, but he's just going to keep going.
So he's gonna ignore us. So it's like he's.
Oh, yeah.
But will he? But will he respond to what we're saying? Like, if we're like, oh, that fucking Roman Reigns, and I'm like, well, yeah, but what about John Cena? Oh, well, John Cena. Like,
Yep.
is it?
He'll do that. He'll do that, but he won't stop and have a conversation with you. You can try to derail him onto a different topic. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Like, if he's talking about Orange Cassidy, he's going to hate on him till the cows come home, and you probably won't change his mind until he's done talking.
That's a horse of a different color. I was under the assumption that we had to just sit and listen quietly.
Yeah, I was under that.
I mean,
assumption.
you could try to change the topic of conversation. Sometimes it might work, sometimes it might not, depending on how much he hates the current person or how passionate he feels about what he's currently talking about at that time. But like you said, Beef, if he's talking about Roman Reigns and you bring up John Cena, that might trigger him and go, John Cena, blah, 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 blah.
Well, that's a horse of a different color. Then I'm going to say yes. I thought I had to just sit and listen.
I guess yeah. I'm kind of with you on that one, Poot. I think I'd change my answer to yes. Like, yeah, I probably. I don't know. Yeah, probably yes.
Beef?
Yeah, man. I think that as a whole, the wrestling world could do well to, kind of sit under the tree of Cornette. Not all the time because he's kind of crazy a lot of the time, but
kinda.
That's
just
an understatement.
Just like Russo, just like Russo, like there's a lot of gold in them there hills. You just have to dig deep enough. So.
Oh, don't. Okay, listen. I will give Jim Cornette credit. I will give the man credit. He is smart, and there is a lot to glean from him on a lot of things when he's not being super negative. But
or super racist.
Don't you fucking give credit to that stupid bro son of a bitch. Don't you do it.
He's
bro, he's responsible for the Attitude Era.
Yeah,
everybody fucking jerks off. Fucking jerks off to the Attitude Era 24/7. How the Attitude Era was the absolute best thing in sports entertainment ever. Ratings were so high, blah blah. But that was all Vince Russo.
No.
So if you like the Attitude Era, you have to be fucking willing to suck off Vince Russo.
No, you don't. No, you don't, bro. No, you
bro.
don't. Like you,
man.
But no,
man.
No, look, you. Like he was responsible for that one time in that one period because he has this gross, insane, cartoon, perverted mind. After that, once everyone grew up and things evolved past that brief little window, he was obsolete and useless.
Yeah, and then what did he do? He fucking had a hand in helping to put the fucking World Heavyweight title on David Arquette.
Which I still think that Vince Russo was on Vince McMahon's fucking payroll.
Okay, now we're getting
WCW.
We're getting tinfoil hattie. Let's dial it back.
No, man. Because listen,
no, bro.
No, man.
No, bro. I'll kill you.
There were such awful ideas at the fucking Titanic sinking of WCW. Fucking like, and you know who would love the stuff that was going on in WCW? You know who would think that would be such good shit? Just saying.
Anyway, let's bring it back to WrestleMania. So let's go from one extreme to the other, the Boneyard match. I want to start with Ransom on this one because he was not a fan of the Firefly Funhouse event, match, mindfuck, whatever you want to call it. But Ransom, I gotta believe that you liked that Boneyard match. You okay?
Yeah, I was delaying so I could get a drink of water.
Okay, cool.
I thought the Boneyard match was 110% spot on. I loved it. That's a match that I don't think would have done as good in the ring as a traditional wrestling match. So if there was no COVID and they would have just done AJ Styles versus The Undertaker in the middle of the ring for however long that match went, I think it still would have been good. Because honestly, I don't think that AJ Styles could have a bad match. And if you put Undertaker, even at this course with his current age, if you put him in the ring against the right person, he's going to have a stellar match. So if they would have had a one-on-one match in the middle of the ring, would it have been great? Yes. But I think the Boneyard match is what stole the show for WrestleMania for me. I thought night one was by far the better night. And I think finishing that night out with that Boneyard match was the best idea they've had for this whole WrestleMania.
So
it was amazing. I wouldn't change shut up. I wouldn't change a single thing about it. The whole thing, the entrances, the match itself, or whatever you want to call it, the end, Undertaker wearing what he wore, coming to the Boneyard match on his motorcycle, all of the American Badass, not having to
Metallica, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah,
coming to the match with Metallica, good Lord. That absolutely stole the show for me, and I think that's probably the best thing. If there's a highlight of this year's WrestleMania, it's the Boneyard match by a mile.
Okay, so my question, because fuck me, but what entailed in a boneyard match? Was it closer to a buried alive match? Was it a
Yes.
Oh, dude.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
It was basically a street fight. It was basically a street fight with buried alive rules.
Okay.
So you had to put your opponent in a grave, and there was a bulldozer filled with dirt, and you had to crank the bulldozer and to drop the dirt on your opponent.
So it was a buried alive match. Okay, got it.
Fun fact. All the jawing in that match that they did was completely made up by them.
Mm-hmm.
See what happens
whenever
when
Undertaker, when he punched the window and he started bleeding, and he's like, "You made me cut myself, man!" Like that's
Nobody
good
makes
shit.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody.
No, it was, dude. You see what happens when you put hand the reins over to the people who are actually performing the damn thing.
Yep.
Like it was awesome.
The right people, though, the right people, and that's what's important. You can't just be giving all these jagoffs all this free reign. But if
that's
you have
WCW.
people, right?
Yeah, wouldn't that be
If you have people,
Wouldn't it be terrible
Yeah.
if like 3 or 4 random jagoffs had a platform to just jaw about wrestling stuff? Wouldn't that be terrible?
That's why this show's a dumpster fire, and we have 4 listeners.
Hey,
That's why the Breaking Kayfabe gets more listeners than the actual wrestling show.
Wow.
Spot on.
Speaking of dumpster fires, and AJ Styles, this ties in together. I want to bring up something I actually just saw recently on Instagram. It was AJ Styles versus Rhino in the first ever Evolution X match or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, for as much of a trash fire as Impact has become, I watched this match. It wasn't a very long match. It was like maybe under 15 minutes, but it was really well done the way they did it. And I just gotta like that kind of ties into, you know, like AJ being such a great performer. Like you can put him in the ring against just about anybody and any kind of stipulation. And I think he's just one of those types of people who, you know, when all is said and done, he is definitely going to go down in history as one of the greatest if he isn't already close to that mark. But the Evolution X match, they had to climb on top of the X structure that was like in suspension over the ring or whatever on this like, steel girder beams and stuff. And at one point, he was like hiding from Rhino, like inside the structure because it was hollow in the middle. And I was just like, wow, that like I've never fucking seen anything like that before, like ever. And it was hilarious. Like it, like just him, like, just kind of ducking for cover, and I mean, literally and figuratively trying to catch his breath and everything like that. It was great. It was a really good match. So if you get a chance to go back and watch it, again, it's not a very long match. Go check it out. But I had to throw that in there.
What was your take on the Boneyard match?
So I agree. I don't put the Firefly Funhouse too many steps behind that one. But I mean, yeah, the Boneyard match was everything that I think that we as fans wanted. Including a fucking like Power Ranger-esque battle where Taker took out all the druids. Like the
club putties, the OC putties.
Like it was exactly what it needed to be. And the one point I will disagree with you on, Ransom, is that I think that it would have been a fucking huge pile of shit in the middle of the ring. I love the Undertaker, man. Like you cannot point to a better character.
Uh-oh.
The Matrix has him.
The Matrix took him.
Took that pill again.
Yep.
He can't blame me. We're solid.
Yep.
Well, really
spoon.
Quick, before he comes back, I want to throw this in. All the druids that were in there that Taker took down, they were I guess newer or indie wrestlers, and they were super nervous. And like AJ Styles and Gallows and Anderson and the Undertaker like took time to like took time to like, take them under their wing and tell them, hey, it's going to be cool. This is what we're going to do. Let's work this out. And they were super like welcoming and friendly to them. Also, WWE went out of their way to hire people outside the company, like a production team, to like make this happen, to hire local people in the Orlando area to try and give them work.
Oh, good for them.
During these downtimes. So, like, the Boneyard match legit was, like, a really good thing, not only for all those involved, but, like, the people that might not have had that gig otherwise. So, there you go. Let's see if Beef's back from the Matrix.
Nope, he's still gone. Well, while we're waiting for Beef to come back, Poot, what was your take on it?
Hold on. If you can hear us, exit out of Discord and come back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably your best option at this point.
Dude, I loved it. I was sold from the second that. And Tom, I'm sorry for spoilers, buddy, but
no, it's I already know the results. I just didn't. I just have finding the time.
And that's why AJ Styles versus Undertaker was the worst thing at WrestleMania ever.
I agree with Beef. Let's move on to Poot.
All right. So no, Beef,
sorry,
you
just came back. So
Beef, you
the last thing I heard from you was you were saying that if it was done in the middle of the ring, it would have been the shits.
Yeah, because he is Undertaker is at an advanced stage where he's, I think, become a little bit unsafe in the ring, and if you have to rely on somebody else to kind of protect the match, I don't think that that's what a veteran should be doing. The veteran should be the one calling the match, should be the one carrying the match. So, again, WrestleMania 31 notwithstanding, because I think that was a different style of match, but everything else, WrestleMania 30 plus, and any event, he's been not the same. So to me, this let him be physical. This let him be extraterrestrial, if you want to, if mystical, I guess the better word. It gave him all the bells and whistles that we expect without exposing any of his flaws. So, in addition to like wanting to see the rest of a lot of the Fiend's matches booked the same way, like a very like cinematic effect, I want to see all of the Undertaker's, the rest of his matches be cinematic like this, where they can hide his flaws and just focus on what he does well.
All right, so Poot, what did you think of the Boneyard match?
I thought it was fantastic. From the second that the hearse pulled up and they brought the casket out and AJ Styles popped out, I immediately was like, this whole thing's going to be fucking amazing. Like, I knew. And then wondering, because they kind of blew the load on the gimmick of like, oh, it's the dead man in a hearse and a casket and blah, blah, blah. Like, I was like, we're getting Biker Taker. We're getting the American Badass. Oh, and man, hearing him come into Metallica, him getting off the bike, the camera panning up, and he looks like a grizzled old bastard you see at a dive bar who, like, you look at him wrong and he'll punch you in the mouth for no reason, chug your beer, and then take your wife home. Like, he looked like a mean bastard. And I
Which
loved
Metallica song was it? Was it for
it was
the
Now That
Tolls?
We're Dead, off of Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Yeah, dude,
I was gonna say that must be a newer one because I don't know that song at all. I don't know much at all past like Reload. So.
It's the newest one, and like seriously, you should listen to it. It's a really good listen. There's a couple filler tracks, but not too many.
It's a great record.
It is very good. I recommend Halo on Fire. That's my favorite track from that.
Oh my god, yeah, dude. Moth to the Flame is really good too, but Halo on Fire is like it.
Yeah. But anyway,
by the way, did you guys? I read that Undertaker is actually going to be retaining this gimmick from now until when the Undertaker is gone, allegedly, which I'm okay with.
I'm okay with it because it feels like a culmination.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel like a callback. It feels like this is like, all right, I'm at the end of my road. Let's just make this as mean as possible. Like, I love it. But anyway, dude, the jawing that they did was so good. It felt like a fight. It didn't feel like a wrestling match. It felt like a fight. love the only thing that I thought was a little confusing was the fact that Gallows and Anderson apparently have druids. I mean, like, that was really weird, but like once that passed, it immediately went back into it. I loved the little bit of gimmicky stuff of like Taker reappearing behind Styles and them going up on the roof, the heavily edited Styles getting thrown off of the roof, and then once Taker won, riding away, you know, with the laser Taker symbol on the barn and stuff. Dude, it was just good. I maybe I'm gushing too much, but still, you know, almost a week out of Mania at this point, I loved it. I thought it was great, and I thought it was the highlight of Mania, along with the Firefly Funhouse. That's for me. Those two matches for me were the highlight of the entire event.
What about you, Ransom? How did you feel about the Boneyard match?
I loved it. I loved it.
Hasn't.
I thought it was the best thing at this year's WrestleMania. I wouldn't have changed a thing. I thought it was amazing.
Like I said, man, like I honestly believe whether it's, you know, through Survivor Series this year, through WrestleMania next year, or whether it's 2 years from now, we get The Undertaker so sparingly, I would be 100% okay with them using the cinematic touch with his matches, because it made me forget that The Undertaker is like almost a 60-year-old man. It made me forget that he had all these glaring flaws and made me remember that he's a fucking badass. So
I think it gives the character more longevity.
It does, 100%.
And it gives him more versatility.
Because he's protecting himself. He doesn't have to take these stupid bumps anymore because they can just cut away and he can land on a big fucking foam mat. You could roll out 10 more years of The Undertaker doing this shit. And I think as long as he looks believable, what's the problem with it?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they proved at this year's WrestleMania that it can work. They proved with the Boneyard match that this type of cinematic match with The Undertaker, it can work. So if they do another Buried Alive, or they do a casket match, or if they do any number of, gimmicky matches, if they make it this type of cinematic match, they've proven that it can work. And The Undertaker looked better than he's looked at, I don't know how many past WrestleManias.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he honestly reminded me of The Undertaker as the American Badass way back in the early 2000s.
Yep.
He looked great.
I gotta say that I started to try to watch Monday Night Raw. I think it was the last one right before Mania, and I saw the promo that he cut at like the very beginning of the program on AJ, and I really enjoyed that promo that he cut. I really did. I thought it was cool, and I like how he brought to the fact he's like since we're breaking down the fourth wall there, Alan. I'm like, oh, all right, like it. Yeah.
No, and that's exactly the point, is that it gives him the ability to be a scary bastard. It gives him the ability to loosen up and be like, do you know who I am? You know what I mean? It gives him more of an ability, like Beef said, to not take the nasty bumps and just be a brawler.
Now I gotta ask, and I don't know if you guys already brought it up. Obviously, because I was about an hour in before I came in. I wasn't too thrilled to hear that Charlotte had won. But I guess it's probably for the same reason that they are that like you had mentioned, that they probably are or definitely going to vacate the cruiserweight title and stuff like that because of people's travel visas and stuff from all the different.
I actually just sent that link to everybody. No, Rhea Ripley confirmed. I think she sent out like a Snap story or an Instagram story, or whatever. She's in Orlando. She's going to be used for NXT tapings in the future. The reason that Charlotte won is because Vince thought she's a babyface. And they wanted to put over a bunch of the baby faces.
Why?
That's why Becky won. That's why Charlotte won. You know,
I'm not trying to deny Charlotte's ability in general, because I mean, like, she's good, but like, does she really need? If Charlotte is supposed to be held in such the high caliber that she makes herself out to be and everything like that, character wise and everything, does she really need a title? Like, did she really need to win against Rhea Ripley?
Let me posit this out here. For the first time this year, and probably I think the second time overall, NXT beat AEW in the viewership this week.
Really?
Yes, yep. by 1,000, but by hook or by crook. How much of that was it being, takeover on USA, which, by the way, was fucking awesome. If you guys haven't watched it, the ladder match was great, and Ciampa versus Gargano was easy, like an hour, but it was well worth the watch. Probably the best told story I've seen in a long time. But I wonder how much of that is like the mainstream people that are like, oh, is Charlotte going to be on NXT this week? Let's see. And, I think that, honestly, if we're being real, I think that some of the uptick had a little bit to do with that.
Okay, I'll give you that. That's a possibility, but I will say, like, I wasn't, whenever I saw that, whenever I read the results, I just, read the quick hits. I'm like, oh, okay, I expected Street Profits to win. Yeah, I expected Aleister Black to win. And yes, I was overjoyed that Goldberg, lost the title, but, like, all that fun stuff. But then I was just kind of like, Charlotte, I'm like, God damn it.
Well,
like, really?
See, and here's the thing that we tend to forget about that, Tom, is that we are in the minority of Charlotte Flair popularity. Like, every YouTube channel, like wrestling YouTube channel, podcast, or whatever they listen to, they love Charlotte. Not that they're lauding her as the greatest of all times or anything, but they're like, they love her because whether you like her or not, she does deliver, man. Like, I mean,
she does.
And you think about this, she hasn't been going at it very long. Just imagine her growth really is exponential.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I had said earlier, like I'm not denying her ability, because she, again, I feel for as good as she is, she, in my opinion, I hold her in regard as that she doesn't need a title to be as good as she is. So I guess I really just wanted to see, I really wanted to see them kind of grow Rhea a little bit more, giving her, kind of get Rhea getting the rub, getting the victory over Charlotte is all. That's just me. That's just me wanting a little bit more for Rhea, not necessarily to take away from what Charlotte has already done. You know what I mean?
Here's why I'm okay with Charlotte winning and with Becky winning. Because I really, truly believe that if Mania was in front of 80,000 people, I think that both Rhea and Baszler would have went over. I think they're saving the ascension of those two in front of a bigger house. McIntyre was over like gangbusters. They've spent the better part of the last year really building him up. So him winning in front of nobody, while it sucked for him, didn't really hurt his ascension. With Rhea, she is such a brand new commodity. Even to NXT, she hit NXT, just before War Games last year, and then won the title at the Christmas Eve episode of NXT. So, like, she's such a new commodity, and Baszler is brand new in the main roster. They both need time in front of people to really dig in. And to me, if you do the passing of the torch, the changing of the guards in front of a giant house, you're going to get a much bigger reaction that's going to swell and carry them on that wave of momentum. So, I guess what I'm saying is McIntyre didn't need to win in front of all those people. I think that those two women did.
Okay.
And I think that I'm okay. And again, as long as the end game is both of them getting over Lynch and Charlotte respectively, as long as that is where we are headed and that happens in front of a big house, yes, 100%. But if it's this and done, I am 100% against that.
Now let me pose this to you guys, because I mean, we've kind of touched on it before, leading up to before WrestleMania. I listened to your guys' picks episode, and a lot of debate of whether or not how stuff would go down. Would they do it this way because they're in front of nobody, or are they gonna carry on like it was, like it was a normal WrestleMania? Do you think we're gonna see basically kind of a SummerSlam kind of be like a rematch of WrestleMania matches, for some of the big ones? Do you think, not saying that they would change a whole lot of stuff, but do you think we're gonna see Drew versus Brock again, so Drew can have that moment of conquering the beast in front of a crowd? Do you think we'll see? Do you think we would see maybe a rematch between Charlotte and Rhea, and Rhea going over, and then Becky and Baszler going over?
I think you're more likely to see that happen with Baszler and Becky and Charlotte and Rhea, more so than you are with Drew and Brock, because honestly, the reaction not only from the wrestling world after it happened, but also from Drew. Like I mentioned earlier, Tom, before you got here, I said that this win for Drew didn't mean any less to him than if there were a ton of other people. I'm sure he would have gone a little more over the top with his celebrations, but you could tell the man really appreciated and really valued the hard work that got him to the dance. Ransom, what do you think?
What's the question?
Do you think we're going to see do you think we're going to see many or a lot of matches redone again at SummerSlam, or whatever first big crowd they can get in front of? Do you think we're going to see a rematch between Rhea and Charlotte and Becky and Shayna, or anything else play out?
No. If anything, I think it's going to be the two women's matches. Maybe. I don't even think that's a definite. I think it was beef. It was beef or poot. I can't remember. They said they needed a build up. They needed a build up in front of the live crowds, not just, okay, this is an event back in front of a live crowd. First one, these two girls go over, go. I don't think they're just going to retcon what they did at WrestleMania. I think it's going to be a build. I think you'll eventually see Baszler beat Becky, and I think you'll see Ripley beat Charlotte, but I don't think it'll just be at the first match. I think it'll be a little bit of a slow burn, but I don't think they'll try to redo any of the WrestleMania matches at a SummerSlam or something, or whatever the match is going to be, or whatever the event's going to be once it's back in front of a live crowd. I don't think they'll do that.
Okay.
I think they would have been pleased enough with their decisions at Mania that they were like, okay, this Mania happened, we're going to plug along.
Fair enough.
I think the SummerSlam is a pie way of looking at it. We are in a different world right now. And let's not forget that SummerSlam this year is being held in Toronto, which is international, so who knows where that's going to be, with 4 months from now. But the first big live event, be it SummerSlam, be it Survivor Series, be it, fucking Starrcade, who knows what they're going to do. They may even fucking research Halloween Havoc if they needed to get a big bump. But I do believe so. It honestly depends on many things. Whether WWE and AEW continue to film. because basically at this point it's kind of a pirate broadcast. These workers are non-essential, so there's no fucking way in hell that it's legal that they show up to work. And again, not all states are in the stay-at-home thing, but the majority of them are.
Yeah, and now I heard from one of my other streamer buddies who lives in Georgia that Georgia is now extending their stay-at-home thing to the end of May. And it's like, well, yeah, because you fucked around and didn't do it in the first place because reasons. So now there's a lot of other states that the ones that aren't doing it or haven't done it yet are now trying to play catch up. And now didn't I hear you say previously that AEW had moved from wherever to
Georgia.
To Georgia. So now
they're filmed up.
Yeah,
they're filmed up for a month, and let me tell you, just real quick, I'm sold on what AEW did last night. They put out, I think, 4 matches, 3 of which were very good matches. One was a squash because it's there were 5 matches, 2 of which were squashes. One was Brody Lee, the other was Lance Archer, which would have happened regardless. And then they did some pretty great video packages. I'm okay with living that kind of life. And that's they record AAW, that is, has recorded up for a month, up through the TNT tournament and up to what they hope to be Double or Nothing in May, which I'm sure is not going to happen. So, but yeah, I mean, so again, it's pie-eyed to think it's going to be SummerSlam, but whenever it happens, yeah. So it's going to depend, and here's why: if WWE suspends and stops filming, which then it really is the apocalypse. Yeah, I think so. Because it's well rumored that they changed the outcome of those 2 matches. Becky and Charlotte specifically winning because they're the faces and they wanted to put people happy. They wanted to make people happy, right now in this trying time. Which, by the way, fucking Jericho used that on AEW Dynamite last night. I want my fucking quarter, you bastard. But
wait, what?
I've been using "in this trying time" for fucking 10 weeks now. That's fucking beat the legend trademark, damn it.
$49.99, Jericho.
Asshole. Anyway, or just come on our podcast. You're more than welcome anytime, Les Champion. Anyway, but if WWE does not suspend, and let's say that this whole thing goes until the fall, that means that they're basically going to keep those 4 women away from one another for another 6-7 months, only to have them ramp back up together. I'm not saying that's impossible. I'm saying it's not so plausible. So while I think it can be done, it would take a lot more grease in the machine than I think they got in there to make that happen. So it's my answer is complex, but maybe.
Okay. Sorry, I'm busy watching Liv Morgan in the Discord there. So which do you know what that's from, Poot?
No.
I see again because Instagram. I guess there was some sort of thing, there was a
transformation thing.
The Don't Rush Challenge. The I think the WNBA people did it, and now the women did it. And I actually just before we logged on, the men from WWE have done one too. And
are you serious?
It's amazing.
Wait, I gotta send me the one of the guys because I'm interested to see what the hell they do differently or whatever. But the woman's one was pretty good. I was like, why Tamina though? Why she was in there is beyond me. She super kicks the screen. Get out of here.
Well, that's because no one meaner than Tamina, I guess.
Wow.
I still can't get over that piece of merch. There has been some bad WWE merch and bad wrestler merch, but that's just the most phoned in stupid shit in the world. I'm sorry. I nothing against Tamina, but the goddamn that's terrible. But
hey,
I don't know, man.
You'll have a head put out on you.
Well,
what's his name? The the smiley guy, Jordan Miles. That was pretty phoned in, man.
It wasn't phoned in. It was just tone deaf.
Well, both. Both of them.
So, okay, here you go. Since we're not going to do hot tag trivia or anything like that here, since we are getting long in the tooth, as the man says,
our molars have been extended.
How about this? I feel like you should have followed that up with a yes. Our molars have been extended. Yes.
That's wonderful.
Delightful.
Yes. Wonderful.
Anyway, so here we go. Here's a question for you guys. It's not $1 million, but I was kicking around doing one of those. But what about this? What is your favorite piece of wrestling merch you've ever owned? And what is your least favorite merch they've ever offered?
I'm looking around.
Your favorite one you've owned, and what's your least favorite one? Like you went scrolling through. It could be off of WWE, Pro Wrestling Tees, any of the shops that Facebook tries to sell you on. Like it could be any of that. Just like the piece of merch that you went, that's so fucking stupid.
WWE only, or just in general, like.
We'll go WWE only. Since it's WrestleMania, we'll give the nod to WWE.
I can't think of I don't go scrolling around for a lot of different WWE merch. Like it's usually if I'm gonna get something, like it's I know what I want. I don't go window shopping for it. Like I see it, or like if I have it in my mind, I want a shirt. I know like what shirt I want. I don't know.
And this could be from any era.
Oh boy.
Well, I know
my favorite. So I'll tell you straight up. My favorite piece of merch I've ever owned is this wonderful WWF Raw Tag Team title I have sitting on my mantle. Not just because of its exquisite manufacturemanship, but also the sentiment behind it. But if we're talking just shirts and such, I got a pretty big.
That counts.
I got a pretty big soft spot for in my heart for my big foam like Brahma bullhead, both because I'm beef and because it was my first Raw show that I went to, and I really love my new John Moxley shirt too. So those are all tops for me.
I'd say tops for me. Because pretty much the only merch I have is either shirts or I have a couple of pop figures. One of my friends, I can't remember who got it for me, got me a Seth Rollins pop figure. But whenever I was out searching for a New Day one for somebody else, and I found the Jericho one with the list. So that's probably one of my favorites as far as like a non-shirt one. Shirt wise, I really like the one. I like the Edge shirts that I have, and I have one that's a DX one. It was kind of a limited time thing, but it has an interesting kind of like design or whatever. I'll have to send a picture to you guys, but it's something. It's weird. Like it kind of looks like you get away with like making it like a semi kind of dressy type of t-shirt, but like if you look at it, then you start seeing like the little DX nuances and stuff like that, like Triple H's sledgehammer and this and that. I'll have to send you a picture sometime.
So mine probably is of all time, and I wish I still. Well, the two that come to mind for me. The one I thought about finding a legacy version of it was the Stone Cold University, the SCU t-shirt. When I was a kid, I wore the shit. Dude, that was like the first shirt that I wore to where it's like, okay, I can't wear this anymore. Like, because it was just full of holes and it was faded and it was worn out. And I loved that shirt. The other one, that I had, and I wish I still had them. I wish I would have thought ahead just because they're a good conversation piece, was the Christian sunglasses. Like the big yellow ones that were like bug eyes. Like, I wish I still had those because they were goofy as sin. Like, they were just amazing. Those are my two favorites. And I've had some cool stuff. Like, I had a DX foam hand. I have no idea where it went. I think it got lost to the ether of college moving. I also like, speaking of pop vinyls, I like my Bray Wyatt the Fiend pop.
Oh, I didn't know you had one.
Oh yeah, I
gotta see that.
Oh, it's on Amazon. It's an Amazon exclusive. Whenever they announced it, I pre-ordered it.
Nice,
like because it's really well done. It's really well done.
When after Ransom gives his answer, I have kind of a follow up in the same vein of this.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. I've got a few. My all-time top one would be the tag team title belt that Alec Ransom shares with Ryan Kilmore. I don't think there's a piece of WWE merch that'll ever top that. But coming in at a close second, third, whatever with that would be, I had a fleece. Still have, I guess, a fleece edge blanket. They had John Cena. I bought one of those for Tara, and I bought an edge fleece blanket for myself. Still use it. I love it. My Ken Kennedy shirt with the double Ks, just because I was a super huge, big mark of Ken Kennedy. And then this one isn't WWE, but I had it back in high school. It was the NWO shirt, but it was the NWO shirt that had like the green outline to it, and it glowed in the dark. Like the green outline of the NWO around the spray paint glowed in the dark. And that was one like Poot. I wore that one until the green glow in the dark stuff started to peel off and it started to get holes in it. And I'm like, okay, I got to retire it because it's eventually going to disintegrate here in one of these next washes. But I wore the shit out of that shirt just because that was the only NWO shirt that I owned. I didn't own the traditional one, but the glow in the dark stuff was pretty awesome.
That's funny. I actually just remembered I had a Wolfpack shirt that I wore out just like that.
Dude,
I was a big fan of the Red and Black Attack, and yeah, it was dead. I think it was full of holes and like falling apart. I'm like, well, it's time, Big Red.
Dude, I had one of those as well. And matter of fact, because I was the coolest kid, we all bought them. My bowling team when I was younger, we were called the Wolfpack, and we all had the NWO shirts.
Nice.
I was the coolest, just the coolest.
Now, as far as not stuff that you do own, what's a piece? I'm going to start it off. What's a piece of merch that you wish you owned? And I will say, for me, my one time thing I want to have before the day I die is like a world heavyweight championship belt, like probably the world heavyweight championship one, just because I think that one just it looks nice and I like it. So. Who else? Go faces.
You mean, Tom, are you talking about the big gold belt?
Oh yeah. The one that Triple H and Batista and everybody else had. Edge
and
had.
Your buddy Brock, and I'm sorry, your buddy Bill Goldberg made famous, right?
Yeah.
Nah, I don't think he made it famous, but I'm pretty sure everybody else but him made it famous, and he's just fucking there to suck it up along the ride, a piece of shit that he is. But anyways, hey, he's not the champion anymore, so who cares?
Triggered.
Beef, what about you? What's a piece of merch that you wish you would have had?
Whenever I was in high school, the coolest thing in the world was those rock sunglasses, the gold frames. I had like a pair that I called my rock sunglasses. They were knockoffs that ended up getting destroyed in my buddy Brian Veo's car when he wrecked into a ditch. But so that's one. But I really, really, really loved the blue DIY shirts that they did, for DIY's like 10-second reunion at Worlds Collide on Rumble Weekend.
I'm looking at that one right now.
I like that one.
I'm sorry. I hope I didn't interrupt, Beef. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. I was finished.
For me, it's it's really the two that I can think of are one of them's kind of stupid. The other one, I swear to God, I will have. One is a like a legit Hurricane Helms mask, like a legit hurricane mask. I wish I had one. Not like the plasticky, like CVS Halloween store mask. I mean, like one that's like legit, like hard, like either rubber or leather. Like I would love to have one of those. And the other one that is not a pipe dream is the Winged Eagle belt. I want the Winged Eagle belt just to have and like admire, because that belt I associate with so many good memories of watching wrestling and really, really being like super excited. And when, guys like Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and Stone Cold had those belts, like that belt to me is so iconic. And also it was like I associate it with like when I found wrestling is when I found like like my thing when I was younger. You know what I mean? I felt like I was part of something.
I kind of like your reasoning with the Winged Eagle belt, and I'll admit there's actually some belts I even like better than the World Heavyweight Championship belt. I like the look of the NXT title better. But the only reason I want the World Heavyweight title is because I think, I could be mistaken, I don't know, it's one of the few, or if the only one, where you could actually do like a custom nameplate or whatever. So of course I would have my own. I'm not gonna carry the title of Jericho or Edge or whoever. No, I'm gonna carry my own goddamn title. Like, why not? But
I gotcha.
But because I wouldn't like the if I'm gonna get one, I would want it like not to have the nameplates or whatever. I don't know.
All right, Ransom, what about you?
I've always been a super big, huge fan of Ted DiBiase.
Nice.
So I would really love to have at some point the $1 Million belt. I thought that was a really cool belt. I would have loved if that would have stuck around and they would have continued to defend it with Ted DiBiase Jr. I always loved the look of that belt. I just thought it was just the coolest looking thing ever. And I'd love to own one of those.
Dude, that is, and it really, compared to other belts, it had such a short-lived run, but it's so iconic.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, real quick here, before we call it a night on this episode, what's a piece of merch that like seriously you're like, that is the dumbest piece of shit ever? It's so ugly, it's so stupid. Like
anything relating to Goldberg, obviously.
All right.
I mean that's a given. Like I'm sorry, I don't need a shirt that has what looks like barbed wire symbol tattoos. It's not from like an NFL linebacker from 1995. I'm good.
Beef.
I mean, there's not a lot that comes to mind that I'm like, oh, that's that's a stretch, or that's awful, and I'm probably gonna take some heat for it, but that's okay. Probably the like the knockoff like Kmart brand ones where they were like not even close to the WWE designs. They just had like a picture of the wrestler and their name or whatever. Again, I get it. Not everybody's got $29.99 to spend on a fucking T-shirt. I understand that 100%. But they just kind of look cheap to me, and super off brand.
To be clear, are you talking about like the ones that was like the Stone Cold with like the rattlesnake arms or whatever?
Well, that was like even an official one. Like that was officially done. But no, there were ones that had like Austin's silhouette, and then would have like
I know what you're talking
mannerisms or like wording that he would have used or things, and it's just like okay.
I get where you're going at, because I probably owned a couple of those whenever I was a youngin', because we were poor. So, but yeah, I hated them too. I wanted better.
Ransom?
I really don't have one. Like somebody said, I don't go on like the WWE website and just scroll through merch just to see what's out there. If I know there's something I want, I go out and I, look it up on the site and get it. But I honestly can't think of something that I've seen that have gone other than the John Cena wristbands, because I thought those were stupid. But I mean, they're sold like hotcakes. But I don't have one that's like, oh, this is the worst thing ever. I don't know. I don't go scrolling through it enough, I guess.
I think it's collectively the stuff that's like, Seth Rollins knee socks, like stuff like that. You're like, are you fucking kidding me? But honestly, it's anything. It's a shirt that I saw. It's really terrible. It's this low res ring with like terrible print. It was on like some site called Gould Gaming. I'm not sure. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I joke. I love my Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast t-shirt, and you should go buy one. Links in the description. And also maybe buy some Casual Gaming Dad merch while you're there as well. It's reasonably priced and very cool.
I'm actually wearing one of my own that kind of ties in of a wrestling reference or play off of a wrestling reference. Wearing my Kick City shirt.
Don't jerk yourself off on camera, Tom. I'm already doing that for you. Wait, what? Anyway. Hey,
it takes more than two hands.
Dutch rudder.
And there it is.
For me, honestly, it's it honestly, aside from that, there's two shirts that come to mind. One I've mentioned, it's the No Mina Then Tamina shirt. I want to see the numbers on royalties. I would love to see the check for like $5 that Tamina gets because of that shirt. It just looks like an afterthought. That's the problem, is that the design's not good. It's like a shitty afterthought t-shirt. And honestly, anyone who is at the level in WWE, whether you like them or not, deserves better than that. The other one, and I'm going to catch heat from Beef for this, it is the Team Hell No shirt that was the Kane mask with Daniel Bryan arms coming out of the ears. That is a terrible, lousy shirt. And I get it. They had a lot of levity and comedy and goofiness to them. It was a good gimmick and it had good legs, but that shirt it looks like a first-year Photoshop student did it. It's so stupid. Seriously, if you I know you know what I'm talking about, but I feel like you need
the Matrix.
to what?
The Matrix.
Nothing, you're good.
Am I good?
You're good now, yeah.
I vomited the pill back up.
You fought the agents. You're good.
Okay, yeah, I got it. No, where is it? I gotta find it. They had one that was both their faces, and it said, like, I'm the tag team champions. That one was cool. And there was another one that was just a shirt on the front that said Team Hell No. And on the back it said Reunited, and it feels so good. But, like, and that's the thing. It's like they had some good ones. But I'm pulling up right now. I'm gonna save this picture, and I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna see if I can do the jiggery pokery with the video to put it up right now. But I'm gonna put it up in our chat because I feel like I remember that shirt. Do you though? Because I'm gonna show it to you guys in the Discord chat right now. It is not good.
Oh my God, that is terrible. Like,
what did I say?
Yeah, that's stupid.
It looks like it doesn't even look like a Kane mask. It looks like some sort of like flying fucked up monster with arms. Like
it looks
that's
like
that's my new least favorite.
It looks like
least favorite right there.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. I love it.
It looks like a hacked. It looks like someone who hacked the original Doom and turned a Caco demon into that. Like that's what it looks like.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks like something out of Doom or like fucking Metroid Prime, like one of those like flying little war wasp or something. It's terrible.
Just so awful. But anyway, guys, what do you say we wrap this up in a nice little burrito?
Wrap it up, Poot.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening to our WrestleMania review. We really appreciate it. And do yourself a favor. Give the video a like and subscribe to us here on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're listening on any other platform, you can go to Anchor, by the way. But you can also find us on a lot of different podcast places. We're on Spotify. We're on Google Podcasts. You can find us pretty much anywhere if you look for Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast. Make sure to also check out our other series called Breaking Kayfabe, where we get out of the world of wrestling and we talk about all kinds of other things, from video games to world events such as COVID-19. And we also do things like $1 Million Butt, the Rooster Teeth game, $1 Million Butt. We have fun with that. And then we also tell things like drunk stories, which are a lot of fun. I want to thank
It's funny you mention that because, before you thank sponsors, it's funny you mention that because, we are going to probably be in a place where a lot of other sports talking heads and podcasts and people are where they're kind of running out of content rapidly. So we might get kind of weird with it here in the upcoming weeks. So we'll see where we end up. We hope we hope that you're all along the ride too.
In case,
or we can get into we can possibly take this time to get into some more fucking collar elbow tie up episodes too.
That would be a lot of fun. Make sure to go back and listen to our previous collar elbow tie-ups as well. And thank you very much to the sponsors. I want to thank Mr. Casual Gaming Dad, Mr. Tiger,
Uppercut,
Bomb Tom, and his channel Casual Gaming Dad over on Facebook. Go check him out. Also, go on over to Gould Gaming. There's, again, a link in the description to Casual Gaming Dad's channel. You can pick up a lot of cool merch for him. I recommend the No Red States, No Blue States, Just Save States t-shirt. That's a really cool one. And also, you can pick up your very own Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast t-shirt while you're over there. I also want to thank Sean Tischler and his work with IWC. There's also a link in the description to IWC and news going on with them. You can watch for whenever events start running again. They will have all the information on there. You can buy tickets, and it's absolutely great. Support them as much as you can. Support your local indies as much as you can as well. In Pennsylvania, central and western Pennsylvania, we have a ton of great ones. There's IWC runs. There's Rise as well. Rise is really, really good. So check out your local indies and support them as well. For Mr. Tiger Bomb Tom, Beef the Legend, The Advocate, Mr. Alec Ransom, and your reigning, defending, undisputed Cruiserweight champion Poot the Bard, baby, have a good evening.